going to go ahead and get started, even though we have a few people still coming in. Need to make one announcement. This presentation tonight is for the last traditional group of student teachers. Not the, not the Residency 1 folks. We haven't scheduled your seminar yet. Anybody in here Residency 1? Bonnie, I think we got them taken care of. Okay. Thank you for coming out tonight. I know you've probably had a very busy day today, and the weather has turned nasty outside, but we really appreciate you giving the effort to be here. I'm Bobby Lucier, the new Executive Director of the Office of Professional Laboratory Experiences and Teacher Licensure, and yes, we are going to change the name of the office. It's just too long, too much. Congratulations to you. Hopefully, by now you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not another train coming at you. So you're almost through this semester, and you hopefully will have one semester left, and that is your student teaching, the most important semester that you will have, which we hope will springboard you to a very successful career. But we hope that it's not the last time we see you. We hope that while you graduate and hopefully get a job teaching, that you will come back and pursue advanced degrees here at MTSU. I think you'll find it very rewarding after you've gotten your feet wet in the classroom. We have all of our staff, our team here tonight, and I want to introduce them to you. And you need to get to put faces and names together, because trust me, these folks are going to be highly involved in your life between now and the day that you graduate. You're going to have lots of questions. You're going to have to turn in lots of documents. You will get to know us extremely well. And we look forward to that. But I do want to introduce the staff and get started. And they each are going to talk to you about what they do, the role that they play in our office. And so you'll know who to go to when you need help. And first up is, Quentin, are you first? Parisha? Okay, Parisha. Parisha Lines is a very important person. When you filled out your application for student teaching, you will get to request certain areas, geographical areas for placement. Parisha is the queen of placements. We will have between this group, there's about 250 of you who will be doing student teaching in the fall. You'll each have 2 placements, so that's about 500 placements we have to do. And then we also have our Residency 1 students that we have to place. So we're going to have about 700 placements to make this next fall. So it's going to be real busy in our office, right, Parisha? It's Parisha Lines.
You can finally see my face. Please don't make any little voodoo dolls when you don't get the placement that you like. But basically, when you submit your application on TK20, you'll see a drop-down menu where you can choose 3 district choices. I try to make every reasonable attempt to place you in your first district for both placements. Some districts can accommodate that, but when we have a lot, let's say out of 250, 175 wanting placements in elementary education in White County, and there's 5 elementary schools in White County, this is just an example, then chances of you getting 2 placements in 2 different schools in White County are slim to none. So understand that. But I do look at where you live and try to place you in a geographically ideal place, but that's no guarantee. So first we start with your first district choice, where you live, and make the request to that district. If they can accommodate, I'll move on to the second district. And then worst case scenario, we go to the third district. Now, some of you try to get crafty and say, well, if I only give them 1 district, then she can only choose from 1 place. No, that means I can choose from any district in Tennessee that I want. So you could potentially, no, I'm not that devious and evil, but that's what, when you leave me no material, then I don't have anything to work with. I have to do my best guess of what you can do with your travel and your circumstances going on in your family. Those of you that are wanting Williamson County placements, Williamson County has implemented a special standard operating procedure for student teacher placements. You have to make application with their district office, wcs.edu, and after you make application, you have to submit to a Gallup assessment. then you need to be in contact with me. When you get that confirmation that you have been deemed eligible to student teach in Williamson County, you send that confirmation to me, and then remember this, I will make contact to the schools on your behalf. You can give me some schools that you would like me to try first, but you are not, even if they give you the green light to contact their schools and principals and teachers, and you know you have a teacher that used to teach you and they'll take you, you can't do it. It's against our policy for you to make contact to schools directly. So make sure you send that confirmation email to me, and our staff will work hard to get you those placements. And one more thing, and I promise I'll sit down, and just know that we all work very hard to get you these placements. But when you submit your district choices, because you live someplace at this particular time, and then life happens and you change residence, and then you want to change your district, and then I've already submitted requests, and in best case scenario, I've already gotten a confirmed placement for you, maybe even two, and you now want me to place you in another district. I would love to make that accommodation for you, but you need to realize that we have entered a contract with that district that has accepted you for placement. And if we rescind what we've already gotten under their good graces, then that's going to burn the bridge for the next student that wants to be placed there. So keep that in mind. When you make these decisions where you want to be placed, that needs to be firm. That doesn't need to be, well, I'm probably going to move in with a roommate, or my car is not really on good legs, it's going to die, so I might put what I think no. Think about it very carefully. You're going to get the opportunity. You've already received an email that you can change your district choice options, but know that I'm going to be submitting those requests. So we can't go back and forth, because that just hurts the process and delays the process. And I know you guys want to know your placements in well enough time to get prepared. Thank you.
Thank you, Parisha. One thing about that, if transportation sometimes becomes an issue, so be thinking about that right now. Because, yes, sir.
She was talking about Williamson County and that we had to, if we wanted to be there, we had to go through other arrangements to get there. Do we need to take it upon ourselves to do that?
Yes, you do. Yeah, you would need to go to their central office and make application. All right, and I think you can do that online. So it's not really a big deal, but they do have a different process than most of our school systems that we work with. And we are working with about 17 different districts right now. So, but please be thinking about transportation. If you don't have a car right now and you know that you're going to have to travel, you either need to buddy up with somebody or talk to mom and dad, or somehow procure some kind of transportation. If you know you're not going to have transportation, you need to let us know that so that we can place you close to campus, if we can. We'll try to accommodate you any way we can. Okay, next up is Quentin Goodman, and Quentin is our go-to man. If you have any questions, this is the man to see, because he's got all the answers.
All right, everybody knows me, so I don't have to introduce myself. I just want to check, has everybody been receiving my emails? Has anybody not received an email or anything from me? So everybody signed up and registered. If you haven't received an email from me, then I don't have your application. Did you submit on TK20? Okay, well just check me on this. Oh, last Friday. Okay. Okay. Well, there we go. All right. So I'm just going to go over real quickly the information that's in your packet, so you guys can know when you can expect to receive what you're going to receive. So we'll go through that real quick. The first thing you'll see is the calendar for the fall for this year. It has all the dates on everything we'll be doing this year. I just want to go through it real quick. Those of you who are secondary education minors, your at 4,000 class will begin on August the 12th, and that'll run from August the 12th through August the 16th. That includes if you're at a graduate level, your business, your library science, you're required to attend that class on the 12th. And then, like I said, it runs until the 16th. Then our first seminar is going to be on August the 16th. And we don't have the location for that yet. But once we get the locations, you'll get emails from me throughout the semester telling you when we're going to have these things and where they're going to be located. First day of placement is August the 19th. It ends on October the 9th, and then we'll have our mid-seminar on October the 10th. And then you'll have a study day. That gives you time to upload your assignments on TK20 and get prepared for your second placement. Second placement starts on October 14th, and that'll run until December 11th. And then we'll have our final seminar on December 12th. And then you'll be able to pick your caps and gowns up at the final seminar. They'll have them down here at the bookstore. Usually they order them because they're like one size fits all, so they usually order them for everybody. But if you're really concerned about getting your cap and gown and you want to make sure you get one, you can always go to the bookstore's website and sign up for your cap and gown. But they do order enough for all of our student teachers, so you don't have to worry about that. One thing I want to note about on the 16th, on our first seminar, you will be taking your general education exam. That's not it's not a pass or fail type of exam. You just have to take it for graduation. That's only for those who are graduating with a degree in the fall. So if you're not graduating, if you're not getting a degree, if you're a post-bac, just getting your licensure, if you're a graduate, you don't have to take it. It's only for undergraduates that are graduating with a degree. And you'll take it in the same location that we have our first seminar, so you'll be in the same room and everything, so you just have to be there for that. And that usually starts at 8 o'clock, but they like you to be there at 7:30 so you can sign up and get all your information. For those of you who have not got a background check done, if you were admitting teacher ed, you should have already had one done, so you don't have to get another one done for student teaching. But if you haven't got one done, but you work somewhere and you've had one done for your place of employment, then you can use that. Just let me know, because usually we have to get a letter from them saying you've had one and you were clear, and we can accept that. But like I said, most of you should already be admitted to teacher education, so you should already have that done. If you're not admitted to teacher education yet, you need to get that done. We have an admission coming up actually in March. We have another one in May, and then there's another one in August. So you have 3 more opportunities to get admitted, because you won't be allowed to student teach until you get admitted to teacher ed. So most of you should already be admitted, so it shouldn't be an issue. But like I said, if you have any questions about the background check, just see me after this seminar. TB tests, everybody's required to have a TB test. They're usually only good for a year. So most of you should have received an email from me saying your TB test was due on the 28th, and I think the majority of you have already turned them in. If you haven't turned them in, that's fine. Just make sure you get it to me as soon as possible. They do them here on campus. I think it's $12. And you can go there, and it usually takes, I think you have to go make the appointment, then it takes like 3 days for them to read it. You have to go back, and they'll give you a little printout that you can turn in. But you don't have to go to MTSU. If you got your own doctor and you want to get that done, then that'll work as well. But just like I said, get that turned into me. You can fax it, you can email it, or you can drop it by the office. And I'm in College of Education, room 209. The next most important letter you're going to be receiving, I think we have it scheduled to go out around the first week of April, but that's going to be your prerequisite letter. Basically, that letter is going to tell you if you're missing anything for student teaching. For most of you, it'll just say, like I said, it'll say the date you got your TB test done, the date you were admitted to college education, and your GPA for student teaching and GPA overall, your TB test date. And then it'll have a section that says must complete method courses with a C or better. If you're missing anything, it'll say it under that. It'll say complete spring 2013 classes with a C or better. And that just means, like I said, you just have to complete your course with a C or better. You're fine. If you're missing something, it'll say that, as well as LED 3550. And usually, a lot of times, if you get something like that, it's usually because you've already took it or substituted a class for it, but for some reason when you did the substitution like 2 years ago, it never made its way. So you just usually have to go see your advisor and do the substitution over, or track down the substitution, and just bring me a copy to my office, and then that way I can check that off. So you'll get that letter around like I said, the first week of April. It's like we have like 250 of you who are doing your student teaching, and we have to go through and check everybody's degree. So it takes a little while, but you'll be getting that letter in the mail from me. And like I said, it'll come via email. The next letter after that will be your POD. And this is the POD for interdisciplinary studies, special ed. This is what your POD letter will look like. It won't come until the last summer grades are posted. So you guys, one important thing you got to remember, you will not register during priority registration. So you'll probably get an email saying it's your time to priority register, but you will not register because student teachers register later because we have to check your grades and make sure everything is finalized. So once you get that email about priority registration, don't panic, just ignore it. You'll get an actual call number from me in a letter like this via email that's telling you that you have to register, and it'll give you a call number. You just go online like you normally do and register. So like I said, don't register prior to registration. You'll get a call number directly from us. And then if you're a secondary education minor, you'll get a call number that has your YOET 4000 class call number and your YOET 4110. And that'll come, like I said, the last, once the last grades are posted, we'll recheck everybody's again, and we'll send that information out to you. And then the final letter you'll get will be your placement letter. Usually that goes out around the second week of August because, like she said, there's like 700 placements to get placed. So your placement may be confirmed before then, but usually what happens is if we send out one, then somehow it spreads and everybody calls me and say, hey, I don't want to bother Parisha, but could you tell me my placement? I can't tell you placement. Okay, so I don't have it. Once she gives them to me, that's when I send them out. And like I said, everybody will get theirs around the second week of August. And if by some chance they happen to get done before then and everybody's ready to go, we'll as soon as I get them, I send them out. I don't hold them or anything. You get them as soon as I get them. And then anybody have any questions about anything that was in the packet?
On the August 12th to 15th, that YOET 4000 class, is that for all of us plus the people who have the secondary?
No, what is your, only for secondary education minors. So you guys won't come until that first seminar. But the rest of you guys who are secondary or doing it at the graduate level, 5510 or library science, you guys will come for the YOET 4000 class. Any other questions?
What if you're taking 2 summer classes and the summer class doesn't end until August 15th?
Well, that's why I say like the second week of August, roughly. That's when they go out. You'll get all your information in time for your student teaching because we'll check your grades and everything. And just on the prerequisite letter you'll get, it'll say that you're that class, and you can just email them and say, hey, I'm taking this in the summer, and you'll be fine. We're good? Cool.
Let me emphasize 2 very important things that Quentin just told you. If you have not been admitted to teacher ed, that is the first and foremost thing you have got to take care of. That's critical.
Let's see. We won't have
Okay?
another one till we.
Everyone in here should have already been admitted to teacher ed, but we realize some of you, the deadline for application was January 30th, and here it is, March what? 5th? So please, if you haven't made application, you need to do so. Take care of it quick. Another thing, that week where we have you come back for seminar on the 16th, it would be to your advantage not to schedule anything else that week because later on in our presentation, you're going to learn about some training opportunities because you're going to be required to do a teacher assessment program that we have a presentation on tonight. We're going to be offering training during that week. It'd be at your advantage to take us up on some of that training because you're going to be required to do that Ed TPA. And also you could get help with the TK20 and all those kinds of questions that you might have. So it won't be required. It'll be optional, but it would be to your advantage to keep your schedule flexible that week. All right, next up, Ms. Flora. How many of you want a teaching license at some point? Woo-hoo, all right. Well, this is the lady that's going to help you do that, so be nice. Get to know her. Bring chocolate. She drinks regular Coke. But she's going to tell you what you have to do to get that license.
Very good, very good. Glad, good. That was real good. So all of you all, I guess I'll take care of you. Again, my name is Flora McCullough, and I'm the licensure analyst. I am in room 214 in the College of Education, and you see my phone number on the program for tonight. And my email address is flora.mccullough. Tonight, I just want to tell you all a couple of things just to remind you of. How many of you know what it is you're wanting to teach? Are you going to teach? Oh, good. That's real good, because you'd be surprised in how many come to the first seminar and still don't know what they're teaching. So that's real good. Please, before the first seminar, know what it is you're going to teach. If you're teaching special ed, whether it's modified or comprehensive, if it's music, if it's instrumental or vocal general. Another thing, sometimes students think that they're doing a dual endorsement. The only people that do dual endorsements are business technology, and agriculture and agroscience. You may be a science student but teach math. We can only endorse you in that one area, but the good thing is if you've taken everything, you've passed your test, it's no problem for you to send your information in to add that to your license. But we have to do your primary endorsement. That's what we do. Praxis test. I just want to emphasize, I like to tell you all in the very first seminar that you know, when you take your praxis, I don't care if it's 10 years down the line, when you take your praxis tests, put them where you can find them. MTSU will only be keeping them for 2 years now. The state does it for 10, but Praxis does it for 10. But Praxis charges you $40 to get another copy. So I tell them what you need to do is make sure that if you're moving, put all of everything you're doing in this experience, get you a lockbox, fireproof, just hurricane proof, tornado proof. That lockbox and just go all over the place, but it's going to have your information in it, because you will be surprised down the line the things you're going to need. If you are a young lady that's planning on getting married after graduation and you're like, oh, I don't want to get my license at this time, I want to suggest to you that you go ahead and take your test, get your license. You don't have to use it, but if you have to start over again, things change and it makes it so hard for you. So these are just some suggestions that I deal with on a regular basis, and I try to let you know. And when you move with that lockbox, first thing you move, I always know where it is, because those things, your portfolio, I know a lot of things now you got on TK20 that you didn't have before, but I'm just telling you, just keep up with all your information. It's really important. When you take praxis tests, make sure that you put MTSU as a recipient and the State Department of Tennessee as a recipient. If you've taken tests and you maybe have taken 1 or 2 tests and you didn't have it sent to us, don't worry about that. That's okay. You don't have to call me and say, can you look to see if I've taken my test? That's okay. If you're going to take another test, you got another test to take, all you do is put us down as a recipient and the state as a recipient, and they will automatically send us all of the test scores. One other thing, once you complete everything is when you get a letter. You cannot get one until everything's completed. So I don't care, principals or pastors or mamas or whoever call, we can't get a letter till everything's taken care of. Everything has to be, grades have to be posted, all praxis tests have to be passed. So keep that in mind when you're looking. I know some of you are going to do so great. The teachers or the principal are going to like, I want you now, I want you now. principals already know what we have to do. They know the requirement. So because you call, I don't like sleeping under the bridge, and I definitely don't like orange. So I can't make no exceptions. I got to do what they tell me to do. So I just want everybody to know that it's not my call. It's a university policy. All right. Thank you.
One thing I'd like to add to what Flora just told you, last July 1, there was a state law that changed, and the State Department of Education no longer issues paper copies of your license. Okay, I've had my license for a long time, so I have multiple paper copies. You will have to go online and print your own license. Once you get confirmation that you've been awarded a license, and it's easy. I've got a list of resources for you tonight before you leave. I'll show you on the computer. Then Quentin's going to email them to you. And one of them is the licensure department at the State Department of Tennessee. And there's what they call teacher lookup. And you can go see when you get your license, and you'll be able to print it yourself. So just keep that in mind. All right, next up. Allison Clemens, yes, sir. What do the options say? No. Tennessee State Department of Ed. Okay? Because that's where the licensure department is. How many of you ever have lost your password to TK20? And who did you have to call to get a new password? Here she is, and she's also she is our technical support in our department, so get to know Ms. Clemens.
Hello. If you lose your TK20 username and password, I'm your person. Additionally, you can contact ITD's help desk if you forget your username and password and it's, 10 o'clock on a Friday night or 10 o'clock on a Sunday night and that paper's due that night. I'm not going to respond to your email right then, but ITD is open 24/7 and they can reset your password. They can't help you with anything else with TK20, but they can do your username and password for you. Biggest thing for you to know about TK20 and student teaching is if you can turn in an assignment now on TK20, you can turn in everything for student teaching in TK20. It's no different, I promise. And I will also have a ton of help sessions where you can come and sit in a computer lab with me, and I will sit beside you and we will upload everything together. I promise.
We're very fortunate here at MTSU to also have additional staff members that are going to help us through this new program called Residency One that begins this next fall. And they're already on board and helping us with seminars, PD, lots of things that we need them. They're the ones who are going to be doing your degree audit that Quentin talked about a minute ago that will show you any deficiencies that you might have. So I'd like to introduce those folks right now. Miss Susan Gendrich, here on the end. Sandra Parks. David Roper, and David's going to be talking to you in a minute. Also, we have one more, Miss Vicki Harlan. These are all former educators and or administrators, so they've been in your place. They've been in the classroom. They've been principals. They've been superintendents. So they are well versed in what it takes to go through the process of being a student teacher into your full teacher credentialing. All right, next up, how many of you want to graduate? Okay. Miss Angel Bowman is here to talk to you about how you file for your graduation, all those things that you have to do to complete your graduation requirements.
Okay, if you're an undergraduate student seeking a bachelor's degree, it's your responsibility to get everything turned in. You'll have to you should have already turned in an upper division form, which you get from your advisor, and they have to sign it. And if you have a minor, if your minor is the secondary education, your minor advisor has to sign it also. Then you turn that paperwork and your intent to graduate form in to your graduation coordinator. I'm not the graduation coordinator for everybody in the room. I have behavioral and health, most of behavioral and health sciences, and I do have the College of Education. If you're music major, yours will go to Kathy Jones. It just depends on what your actual major is if you're doing the high school and doing secondary ed. The deadline to file all those is April 12th. You need to get that in because you're supposed to turn them in 2 semesters prior to when you plan on graduating so that we can get you checked in case there are any substitutions you need to get done. You can talk with your advisor and get those done and have them turned into your coordinators. If you haven't filed an intent to graduate form, you need to do so as soon as possible because if you don't, you might get delayed to another graduation and if there are problems. If you're just getting licensure, do not turn in an intent to graduate or upper division form. You're not getting a degree. You're not going to walk in graduation. You're just going to go through Miss Flora. To check to see if everything has been turned in, you can go on RadarNet on the student tab and click on student records and click on degree evaluation, which is a very important place where you can look to see if all your substitution forms have been turned in, if they've all been processed. That's where you'll find it at. Substitutions do not show up on your transcript, so don't look there. I have people look there, say, but it's supposed to show on my transcript. It does not show on your transcript, only on your degree evaluation. You can run your own degree evaluation there, and keep in mind that any courses you do not have grades in will not show up on your evaluation. So if the courses you're registered for right now will not show on your evaluation until after you have gotten grades. Your expected graduation date will show in a box at the top of your degree evaluation form. It'll say, it'll be right under where it says program description, and if it's correct there, then we have your forms. If it's been turned into me in the past couple months, I've not gotten all those entered yet, so give me at least until the end of March to get all those forms entered in the system, because right now I'm working on checking May graduates for the second time, because I have to check everybody twice. Your graduation date is going to be on Saturday, December 13th, and there are 2 different ceremonies. The morning ceremony is the College of Grad Studies, Basic and Applied Sciences, the Jennings A. Jones College of Business, and the College of Education. The afternoon ceremony is Behavioral and Health Sciences, Liberal Arts, Mass Comm, and the University College. If you're majoring in history and getting a teaching minor, you'd be under the College of Liberal Arts and would be in the afternoon ceremony. You will not be graduating with the College of Education in the morning. It's on Saturday, December 13th. Then they've got us putting all the wrong dates in the system. Okay. We've been putting the wrong date in the system for everybody, so they're going to have to change it for us. Because that's the date we had listed from the records office. Okay. The graduate students, if you're a graduate student, you will be graduating in the morning with the College of Graduate Studies, no matter what your major is. When we do check you for graduation, we check you in the order that we received your forms. So if someone turned theirs in yesterday and someone else turned theirs in back in 2011, the 2011 ones will get checked before the ones turned in yesterday. We don't go in alphabetical order. Once your coordinator has checked you for graduation, you'll get an email to your MT mail. It'll be different from the one that Quentin sends out. But you need to check and make sure you have everything that's listed on there, because there's different things that I have to have for graduation from you than he might have to have for graduation from you. And it will be sent to your empty mail address. Please check this email and keep this letter for your records. This is the only email account that I will respond to is your empty mail. If you send me something from Gmail, I'll send you a letter back saying, check your empty mail. I've responded to you there. Ladies, if you have turned in your forms and you've changed your name since you've done that, and you want your married name on your diploma, you'll need to contact Miss Cindy Johnson at cindyjohnson@mtsu.edu to have it changed. If it's done after the diplomas have been ordered, you'll have to pay a $10 charge to have a new diploma printed. And if your diploma address has changed since you turned in your forms, you'll need to contact Ms. Johnson as well. If you don't pick up your diplomas at the records office windows during the specific week that they have the diplomas there, they will be mailed out to whatever whatever address you put on your intent to graduate form, unless you change it with her. So if it's not your parents' address or someone that you know really well that's going to get it to you, most people move after graduation, so you'll need to have it to a permanent address where it can be sent to so that you'll actually get your diploma. Cindy Johnson, and it's cindy.johnson@mtsu.edu. There is more graduation information on the records office website. There's a link on the left-hand side that says graduation info. Right now it mainly has everything for May, but there's information out there that pertains to all the semesters. Once the August graduation is over and the diploma pickup for August is over, then the records office will update it to the December graduation information.
Thank you, Angel. I want to run through a few of our program expectations that you need to be aware of now so that you can make plans for the fall. Quentin's already told you, you will not register when all the other MTSU students register. He will send you the registration information via email, and you probably won't register till August. Okay, so don't get nervous. All right, it's just what student teachers have to do. Purchase of materials. You do get one break this term. One. When student teaching starts, you'll go to the bookstore and purchase your packet. It'll have this little trifold information thing here, and it has all of our policies for student teaching. Please take time to read it. I'm going to highlight a few very important ones tonight, but you're going to be held responsible for everything in this folder. It's got the responsibilities of the student teacher, of your cooperating teacher, your university supervisor, everyone that will be involved with you through your student teaching experience. So it is very important. You will also get a letter that you need to send to your cooperating teacher and one to send to your building level principal. So Quentin is our person who puts all that together. So that's the only thing really you'll have to buy. And Quentin, it costs about $15, is that right? So you do get a break on your books this time. And speaking of books, you are not allowed to take any classes during student teaching, period. Now, the only exception, those secondary majors who take that YOED 4000, you've got that week prior to student teaching, and then I think you have a midterm paper due or something. But you will not register for any classes on campus or anyplace else. You can't do that. Student teaching, folks, teaching is a hard job, but it's very rewarding. Your first year is going to be, you're going to just be consumed with planning, preparation, teaching. You're going to have long days, long nights, long weekends. You're going to have lots of deadlines that you have to meet. And so you really need to learn to budget your time. Your work schedule. We strongly recommend that you do not work during the semester of student teaching. It's almost impossible to carry a workload and a student teaching load. So please try to make, you've got 4 or 5 months right now, so try to make plans so that you do not have to work during student teaching. Grades. Student teaching is pass-fail. You will have 2 placements for your regular student teaching. You must pass both of them. Now that may sound easy, pass-fail. Trust me, we've got some that we've already pulled this semester from student teaching. And if you get pulled from student teaching, you have 2 options. One is you'll do a remediation plan, and you would have to apply to do student teaching the following semester. Or one, you withdraw from the university. If you have enough hours, you could possibly graduate with a non-teaching degree, but most people don't have the hours. So this is serious business, and it's up to you. And we're going to talk about what you're going to have to do for all the things that are required to receive your grade. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes, but please understand that pass-fail is not an easy thing. Schedule and calendar. You will no longer follow the university calendar. You will follow the calendar of the school or the school system where you're located. So if there's a fall break, you take their fall break. All right? So if they have a snow day, you have a snow day. If they have, snow. If they have a teacher in service day where the students don't report but the teachers do, you are required to be there. Now, you will receive, I guess, 1 day, we allow 1 day for a teacher recruitment fair, and only 1 day. Absences. You're only allowed 2 absences, and they may have to be made up. If you get 2 unexcused absences, you could be removed. So attendance is critical. It will be up to your university supervisor, that's the person that will be coming to evaluate you, and your cooperating teacher as to how you make up those absences. Let's say you get sick and you're in the hospital for a week. You miss 5 days. You're going to have to make those 5 days up. So your time may be extended beyond what is required. And sometimes that is extended beyond graduation. So please be healthy, and trust me. Talk to any new first teacher. You're sick the whole year because you're around children with all kinds of different germs and you haven't built up immunity to it yet. So take your vitamins, get rest, eat, exercise so that you can stay healthy, so that you can be in that classroom every single day. Just take care of yourself. Professionalism. It is important that you are on time. And by on time, what does on time mean to you? Absolutely. If you're supposed to be there at 7:30, what time do you need to be there? No later than 7:15. Good job. They're sharp. Because I can tell you, we have run into some real issues. Have we not, Miss Rushmore? Sorry, Bonnie. We've had some issues with attendance this year, and we've got some that are on the brink right now, and we're late in the semester, that they're going to have to make up some stuff or they're going to be gone. So be on time. Folks, stand at that door and welcome your students when they walk in. They need to see you. You need to call them by name. You need to look them in the eye. And you need to say, I am so glad you're here today. If a child comes in tardy, if you've got a kindergarten kid, it's not their fault they're tardy every single day. That's mom and daddy's responsibility. But instead of chastising that child in front of the classroom, you need to say, I am so glad you made it today. Let's hurry and get started. Welcome these students when they come to you. Because you can be a difference maker for them every single day. Even on your worst day, you might be the best thing going for those kids. So make the most of it. Follow school rules. When you get to your school, you ask your teacher, is there a teacher handbook? Is there a student handbook? School rules. You need to follow all the school rules. So get to know what they are, because they vary from school to school. They vary from district to district. Maintain confidentiality. This is critical. As a teacher, you will be privy to a lot of confidential information, whether it be on an IEP, in a child's cumulative record, their grades. Please You must maintain confidentiality at all times. There's a federal law. How many of you heard of FERPA? Oh, good. Some professors are doing their job. It's the Family Educational Right to Privacy Act. It's a federal law that protects students and their confidential information. You can lose your job over breaking that confidentiality, so please don't do that. Volunteer. Show your willingness to be involved. Don't wait to be asked to do something. Volunteer to your teacher. Volunteer to your principal. You need to follow your cooperating teacher's schedule. If they're scheduled to chaperone a dance or a ball game, you be there. You're expected to do whatever your cooperating teacher does. Bus duty, staff meetings. So you need to be there. You need to be a real teacher. Conduct. Conduct is critical. You must be professional, ethical, and display moral behavior at all times. Now I'm going to ask you to do something. You're probably going to have to tamp down your social media while you're in the classroom, because your students are going to be trying to find you on Facebook and every place else and try to friend you, and don't go there, because you're going to open a door that you don't need to open. So you're going to have to be very, very careful with social media. And please don't gossip. Teachers' Lounge are just horrible for gossiping about students and teachers and everybody else. Don't be a part of that. And last, but certainly not least, because this is critical, is appropriate dress. And we have two of our master clinicians who are going to talk to you about what appropriate dress looks like for a professional teacher. Ms. Parks and Ms. Gendrich.
Good evening. We're happy to be here. I feel like Minnie Pearl. I'm just so proud to be here and proud to see our future teachers. It's very, very exciting. You all look excited too. Well, tonight we have prepared for you a little PowerPoint. Oh, it just went away. And we want,
Hello, everybody.
this is Mrs. Gendrick. Yes. We prepared a PowerPoint for you because we just felt a need to do that. Both of us are retired principals, believe it or not. I know we look like, we shouldn't be, but we are. Proud retired principals. And believe me, I had 36 years in a school. It was wonderful. It was great. But I've seen everything. Miss Gendrick had
31. And everything that you would think of to do, my friends and I have already thought of it, been there, done that. So I don't think you can pull anything over on your principals. I was in the classroom for 18 years. How long were you?
22.
Okay, so we've been there.
Done that.
Really, really.
And we've seen some fashions. And we want to share a few fashions with you tonight and talk to you a little bit about being a little bit more professional in your dress. We know you already know this. We're speaking to the choir. But it never hurts to work on that memory a little bit. And you're thinking about academics right now, right? I'm thinking, oh my gosh, can I teach that or not? And maybe you're not thinking about your wardrobe. So tonight, let's take a break and think about your wardrobe.
She's nicer than I am. I had some student teachers come to my school who should have been ashamed. They should have known better. And I don't want you all to end up like that when we are now welcoming you into the profession, and I feel like to our side of the desk, you're making a change from being students to being professional educators. So you've got to act that way and dress that way.
Okay, let's give it some thought. Right now. We think you should go to your closet, maybe not tonight, but in the morning or whenever you have a free moment. Go in that closet and look at your clothing.
Think about what you should wear to school and what you should wear for the other parts of your life. Going to the mall, going on dates, going to clubs, that's all fine. Do what you want to do. But when you come to school, you're a role model. Just remember that.
Now, why do you need to do this? What's important about it? Well, first of all, the way you dress is this develops how and maintains respect. Basically, if you want respect from your students, then you need to play the part. You need to establish your credibility. Your clothing does that, believe it or not. You think, well, it might be my great smile. Well, that helps too. But your clothing certainly helps. And it establishes you as an authority figure in that classroom. Parents come by. Can they tell who the teacher is and who the student is or not? Some of you who are going to teach senior English, senior math, junior math, you're not a lot older than the students right there in your classroom. So you're going to have to step it up a notch with your wardrobe.
Okay, this is the stuff that goes on the for someplace else side of your closet, all right? Anything with spaghetti straps, tube tops, backless tops, halter tops, don't I read well? Midriff tops, and that includes, if you look in the mirror in the morning and you have to pull your shirt down to touch your pants, that shirt is too short. Because you're going to be working, a lot of you are elementary people. We were, as you can probably tell, elementary principals. You're going to be crawling on the floor, painting, reaching up, doing all kinds of things, and they don't need to see that. Okay? Guys, muscle type tops, basketball jerseys, sleeveless underwear. If you've got great guns, you know, that's good. But,
Sorry.
what did I say?
Exposed underwear.
Oh, underwear. Oh, well. Keep your underwear hidden, too, okay? And girls, that includes the straps in the back. We don't want to see them. And I don't want any daddies coming to my office talking about looking at your bra straps in the back or whatever, and that happens, okay? If you're wearing camisoles and it looks nice on Friday night, it doesn't look nice on Monday morning in front of children. Unless you're kindergarten, is she misbehaving? Okay. Unless you're in kindergarten and there may be one day of the year that you have pajama day, pajama pants don't come to school.
Ever.
No. If you are allowed to wear shorts and you need to check with the school and the school system that you're working in, some let people wear walking shorts, some do not. They need to come to the top of the knee. Any skirts or slits in skirts don't need to come any higher than that. Save that stuff for somewhere else. Put all the fabrics that are flimsy or see-through on the not for school side of the closet. Lycra and spandex. Do I have to talk about it?
Let's go on.
Even if you have a great body, we don't want to see it at school. Sweatpants, jogging clothes, or workout clothes. No. Now, if you are in a PE major, you know wear something appropriate for the gym. But otherwise, we don't want to see them. Don't wear flip-flops or super high heels, girls. They may look good, but they're not good for helping 5-year-olds or 8-year-olds. And sometimes you have an emergency and you have to run and get help. Those kind of shoes don't work.
Always find shoes you can run in. You just never know when you're going to need to run. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, so did I. The last time those high heels were in, I was teaching kindergarten. And I wanted to wear them. And a little girl got hurt. And I had to kick them off and pick her up and run to the office with her leg bleeding. So please, learn from my mistake, or don't do as I do, but be wiser than that. Because that little girl was a whole lot more important than my stupid shoes. And any clothes with holes, tears, raggedy, don't want to see them.
And jeans.
Oh. Put your jeans over with the not for school. Put them for the not for school things. And if you work at a school that has a spirit day, or like I used to have days like teachers had earned their right to wear jeans, and we had special contests that they were in. And if there's a special day, and your cooperating teacher says it's okay, it's okay. But as a rule of thumb, it is not.
Okay, a rule to remember. No BBC. BBC. Anybody have any? Anybody know what that might be?
Yep, you're close. You're close.
Butt, belly, and chest. Well, it could be BBB, but we're writing for the men too in the room. And that would be your chest, because men sometimes, we forget, or you all forget, not we. Maybe to button all those buttons and, that hair kind of there. And that's very distracting for students. So just remember that. So this applies to the males too. And this is so embarrassing. I don't know how many times I had to deal with this. And it was with my own students, not me. But, you just wonder if people look in the mirror before they leave their home. And I'll have to say to you, your best friend will be your full-length mirror. And use it every morning. Or get a roommate or get a spouse to say, is everything in this morning? And that's all. And then, yes, you're fine. You can go.
And invest in an iron.
And invest, oh, yes, an iron. An iron is a very, very important tool. And use it. And an ironing board. Okay, let's dress the men. Let's dress the men for success. And this guy here, he's got it together, I think. If you want to look as professional as possible, you might invest in a suit or maybe a sport jacket. And it should be conservative. You don't want to wear anything like, there's two sides of your closet now, right? One side is where you go out and play, and the other side is where you go to school. Well, the go out and play suit might be a tuxedo. Would you want to wear that to school? Probably not. That's a little over the edge. So just think about that, being more conservative there. You might want some dress slacks, some khakis, and some jeans, and conservative colors too. I know now they make every color of the rainbow. So I read something today where to dress conservatively, dress the color of your hair. Okay, so you dress in browns or blacks or grays or, if your hair is not a wild color. All right. Shirts should always have a collar on them, and they're tucked in. And if you have body piercings or tattoos, cover it. We don't want to see that. Students don't need to see that either. So remember that and take care of that. Your shoes should be shined, and unless you're a gym teacher, you'll probably not wear tennis shoes. So find a good pair of shoes that are comfortable, that you can run in. Don't forget that. All belts should be worn appropriately, so your belts should be cinched up and not, half of it hanging down your leg and that kind of thing. Cologne. This is a good one, because some people just slather that on until you think, gosh, I can't take this anymore. And when you're in a room closed up with maybe 30 or 40 eighth graders, and they all have a little cologne on too, well, it's going to be pretty bad by 10 o'clock. Just say that. So use it sparingly. Use a little bit, it's all right, but sparingly. Grooming and hygiene are of utmost importance. Clean fingernails, nice teeth. Make sure your spouse or significant other, smile and say, "Am I okay today?" before you leave. And no bedheads. Let's comb our hair and look professional. Okay? Miss Gendrick, dress our women.
Okay, ladies. Go ahead. She always does this stuff to me. I don't know. As I said before, your dresses and skirts should fall to the top of the knee or below. You need to wear nice slacks, dress slacks, or khakis, no jeans. You should wear subtle makeup. We didn't say no makeup unless you're absolutely beautiful. And don't wear a lot of makeup, okay? But subtle. Look your best. Jewelry should be simple. Hair should be natural. I don't see any wild colors tonight, but sometimes they're all crazy colors, not for student teaching. And when I was a principal, you better believe I was watching those student teachers, because I was picking out who I was going to hire for the fall. And I was talking to my buddies at the other schools. Who you got? Who's good? What grade are they in? You better believe it. So the first impression that you make with that principal and the second is going to stick with them and may affect whether or not you get a job. No bedheads. Perfume should be used sparingly. And she talked about 8th graders wearing it. I'm thinking about 2nd and 3rd graders that have been out on the playground for a while. Do you know what those little kids smell like? And then you're smelling like all this perfume. It's just, everybody's going to have a headache. Cover your cleavage, ladies. It's that simple. We don't want to see it at school. And you don't want 8th grade boys staring at it because they cannot do their homework. And it's not really their fault they can't do their homework. They can't help it. And we also don't want some daddy coming into the room saying, stopping by your room every morning. That's a sign to the principal that there's something wrong. So at school, cover it up. And of course, grooming and hygiene are of the utmost importance. It's embarrassing to have to talk to college people about things like that, but it's the truth.
About tattoos and piercings for women?
Same thing. I think it's, just a minute, is there one more? Ta-da! Oh yeah, it's okay for women, but it's not okay for men.
There's not another. Yeah, that was. Okay, now you tell us. Now you tell us. What? Can you think of what the word's going to be? Is wrong with. This makes me dizzy. What's wrong with this? We're going to share just a few photos with you of former student teachers. Maybe you be the judge. Hope not. And we want to hear you talk a little bit to us.
Just remember, folks, it says hiring center. Y'all just remember there are pencil holders on all the desks. It's not BYO. Cover them up.
I think this one speaks for itself. Watch your pants in the back and just be sure. I had to speak to a teacher one day in the cafeteria. She sat with her students. This is a true story. She sat with her students on the little cafeteria stools, and the custodian came to me and said, "You must speak to her. All the children are pointing and talking." How embarrassing. It was fine when she stood up, but she had on a low pair of pants, that kind of hugged down. And this goes for the guys, too. And she had no idea, or said she didn't anyway. Would you say you did? I don't think so. It was airy, I'm sure, but it was embarrassing for her. So be careful. What's wrong with this? Miss Lucier just said a little while ago, when you get to your school, find the handbook and find the rules. And it may be that flip-flops are okay in that school, but I'm just here to tell you they're not really, really great for running. All right? And the other thing about it is some people just don't have as good of hygiene as they need to with their toes, and sometimes that just grosses some other people out, like me. What's wrong with this?
Y'all, those chains are considered a weapon in most schools. And that's something that I learned as a principal because you can take it off and hurt somebody with it. So be very careful about things like that. Oh, the next one? What's wrong with that? Sweatpants. And no shoes. It's okay on campus. It's not okay in the public schools. What about these guys? Miss Lucier said hygiene. Tattoos, hats, sunglasses, and the wording on the shirts. The shirts, don't have collars, but you need to be careful not to have any wording on your shirts unless, like I was at Case and Lane, so on Fridays we had CLA shirts. You could wear those, but don't wear any of the shirts with other advertising on them. And yeah, I mentioned the hats. How about her? I'm your teacher. I am not in a vampire movie. Could you do your schoolwork without looking at you? Subtle. How about these guys? Tennis shoes is not the biggest problem here. And her, she's beautiful. Too much bling, too much shoulders. It's great for a date. It's not great for coming to school. How about her? She's trying to improve her wardrobe. Look, she's sorting her clothes. Can you see it well enough to see her teeth? She has fangs right here. And this one, the kid's going to go, "Oh, mommy, look, it's my teacher. It's my teacher. My teacher, Little Miss Red Riding Hood." Do you want that kind of stuff? And believe me, your principal does not want it. What about that? No midriffs. And nice, huh? Tucked in. And his pants are too low, obviously. And what about her? Piercings and lady parts, right? Those 8th grade boys would not learn anything, and I'm serious. Oh, okay, how about this? Pajamas?
And that has happened too. That happened when I was teaching a class here and I had to go out and observe, and when I got to my observation, my student in my class had on pajamas. Where did she go? She did not teach that day. Pajamas are for home, rest, lounging. Do we rest at school? No. You may think it's your home. You will think it's your home, but it's not where you wear this kind of attire. What's wrong with this picture? She's beautiful. What do you mean? High heels. Could she run in those? No. Could she run in that dress? No, I don't think so. Dress off the shoulder, That would be on what side of the closet? Date night, play night. So, in conclusion, dress professionally to send the right message for a positive classroom. And it doesn't have to be expensive. We have Ross here now, and you can go in there, and the other day I bought a jacket for $5 or $6. You can do it. Parents and students will either respect you or you might be the distraction, and you don't want to be the distraction. So it's up to you. Now, the worst thing that could happen is that you would dress like one of those characters we saw, right? The worst thing that would happen is that you would be tossed out of student teaching. And nobody ain't got time for that.
Thank you. While they presented this tongue-in-cheek, believe me, these things happen. And while you may think the students aren't paying any attention to you, I have a personal story to explain to you, or to tell you. I taught middle school science for years, and I never will forget, we had just come back from school, spring break, first day back, and a 7th grade boy, now 7th grade boys are squirrely at best. You know, they're in their own world. And this kid in front, we're starting class, and he raises his hand, and I said, yes, and he went, you wore that dress on the first day of school. And so I looked at myself, and then they all started talking. Yeah, but you had on different shoes, and your fingernail polish was a different color. And I mean, I'm just standing there amazed. Kids notice. You will find that they will start emulating you. They might start, if you've got something in your hair, they'll start doing that. They'll start dressing like you. If you've got a tattoo, they start drawing on themselves to reflect your tattoo. So please be aware. They really do notice. The ones that you think are just oblivious, they're noticing. Okay, this next piece is a real serious piece, so perk up, pay attention. You got to know this. We're going to do a quick overview of what we call the ED-TPA. The TPA is the Tennessee Performance Assessment. How many of you have heard of team evaluation? Good for you. This is aligned to team evaluation, and you're going to find out we're going to try to marry the two programs together as you move forward. You will be required to do all the components that they're going to talk about this evening. Now, Mr. Roper is our content person for ED-TPA, also Dr. Hitchcock, who is our early childhood person, and Allison is our support for navigating and helping you upload a lot of your assignments and that sort of thing. So I'm going to turn it over to them then. So please, this is serious stuff, so pay attention. Thanks.
Well, good evening. Wow, how do you follow butts and bellies and other body parts? But bear with me. I do want to lead you through some things about the ED-TPA. How many of you feel like you're already familiar with the ED-TPA?
How many of you have even heard of it?
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
It's not as scary as you've been told, I promise.
Okay. What I want to do, first of all, is talk about a little bit about the ED-TPA and how it came to be a part of the teacher education program here at MTSU. You see, have the logo there for Ready to Teach. Hopefully you've all heard of Ready to Teach. Let me see hands. Ready to Teach. Okay, well, Ready to Teach is a comprehensive training program for the teacher candidates that will be fully implemented this fall of 2013. It's being implemented now. It has a number of elements to it. Some of them will impact you, some of them will not.
I can't hear you.
Oh, okay, thank you. If this doesn't pick up okay, we'll try a lapel mic. Let me know if you can't hear me. I'll try to speak up. One of the things that's going to impact you, even though you won't come under all of the components of Ready to Teach, is the EdTPA. And we're certainly going to be trying to give you a brief overview of that this evening. It is a complex performance assessment. It is not and should not be overwhelming, but we want to do an overview for you this evening so that you can begin getting your mind wrapped around that, because it will be a major element of your student teaching this fall. And we're going to talk about that as we go along. So, will you be ready to teach? The Ready to Teach program is being implemented by the Tennessee Board of Regents. The Board of Regents is a governing board for this university and for 5 other universities within Tennessee. And they have decided to implement this comprehensive program called Ready to Teach. So will you be ready to teach? Well, first we look at see how the Board of Regents defines ready to teach. You can see through their primary goal statement how they define ready to teach. Their stated goal is the primary goal of ready to teach is to prepare teacher candidates with the knowledge and skills necessary to have a positive impact on student achievement from the first time they enter the classroom. Now that's a pretty tall order. And that statement says a lot, but that is the primary goal, according to the Board of Regents, of Ready to Teach. Okay, so then the question logically comes, how in the world is it determined if you are in fact ready to do that the first time that you enter the classroom? First, I want to give a brief historical perspective so that you can see up until now upon what basis a teacher candidate was determined to be ready for teaching or ready for licensure. Up until now, to be recommended for teacher licensure, the primary requirements have been, number one, successfully completing all of your coursework in your teacher education program. Number two, a passing score on the Praxis Principles of Learning and Teaching test and appropriate content knowledge test. Had to have passing scores on those. And then you also had to exhibit appropriate professional dispositions during coursework and during your student teaching especially. And based on that, if you had exhibited those, candidates who met those requirements were soon to be ready for licensure. Now, with Ready to Teach being implemented by the Board of Regents, which includes this university, they're taking things one step further because research shows that there's an additional element that's necessary to determine fully if someone is ready to teach. And that additional element is that candidates must also demonstrate proficiency in teaching skills. Now, you would naturally ask, how is this proficiency demonstrated? Well, it goes beyond just the kind of thing of, well, if you see it, you recognize it. You know it when you see it kind of a thing. It goes beyond just knowing it if you see proficiency in teaching skills to, can it actually be measured? And so what we would be looking at then is some sort of evidence of this proficiency. And the research shows that this evidence of proficiency of your teaching skills is provided by an authentic assessment of your teaching skills. So what's an authentic assessment? I'm sure you've talked about that extensively in a lot of your classes, but just by way of reminder, an authentic assessment is an assessment that requires performance of real-world tasks that demonstrate essential skills. Keys there are it requires performance, it's real-world tasks, and it demonstrates essential skills. It's performance out there in the school classroom, in the real world. Because folks, all the things in the university, as valuable as they have been for you, that is not the real world. Okay? The real world tasks are tasks that take place in the classroom, and this authentic assessment requires performance of real world tasks that demonstrate essential skills, and skills is a key, not just knowledge, but the skills that go with that. Now, you'll also see that an authentic assessment usually includes a rubric by which performance is evaluated. It can be either a holistic rubric or an analytic rubric. You've probably studied about those various kinds of rubrics. The EdTPA that we'll be talking about is an analytic rubric, and we'll give some examples of some of that. But this allows an actual measurement of teaching proficiency skills. So it's not surprising then, with this added element, that with the implementation of Ready to Teach, that the Board of Regents mandates that one component of Ready to Teach is going to be a performance assessment or an authentic assessment that measures proficiency in teaching skills. So welcome to the EdTPA. That is, the EdTPA is the performance assessment that the Board of Regents has decided to be used as a part of the Ready to Teach initiative for measuring proficiency in teaching skills. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what is the EdTPA and what does it do. Now, the EdTPA is an outgrowth of an assessment that was known by the acronym of PACT, P-A-C-T, which stood for Performance Assessment for California Teachers. It came out of California. It's been modified and has been evolving over the past several years in first pilot versions and then field test versions, and now this fall, the fully operational version of what came to be known as the TPA, or Teacher Performance Assessment. But it grew out of this assessment in California for California teachers and has been developed extensively over the past several years by Stanford University in California. It's now gone through a rebranding and it's called the EdTPA. But you'll hear people refer to the TPA or the EdTPA. They're one and the same thing. It's just now it's called the EdTPA because they're wanting to stress the educative nature of the performance assessment. So that's what it's all about. The EdTPA is a subject area specific, authentic assessment of a pre-service candidate's teaching skills. Let's break that down just a little bit. Subject area specific. There are over 25 subject areas, specific subject areas tailored for the EdTPA. Everything from early childhood to elementary literacy, elementary math, all kinds of secondary areas. There's a general elementary education, there's special education. They are subject area specific. So it's not just some general measure of a person's proficiency. It is tailored using experts from all over the country to make it subject area specific. It's an authentic assessment that we've already talked about, so it's performance-based, real-world tasks, and it's scored using a scoring rubric of the teaching skills. It creates a body of evidence of teaching performance. And we'll talk about the evidence a little bit more as we go along. But just like in a courtroom, when you're trying to lay out your case and you are presenting evidence and you're wanting to enter something in as evidence, you're wanting to present your case for your proficiency in teaching skills. And the EdTPA is going to be a major part of you doing that. You're going to be creating a body of evidence that shows your teaching performance. It measures a candidate's readiness for teaching, going back to the Ready to Teach motto of the Board of Regents. And it does, in fact, do just that. Research has shown it's predictive of success in impacting student achievement. And of course, when you get out there in the world of teaching and you are licensed as a teacher, there are going to be pressures brought to bear on you about impacting student achievement. And the EdTPA has been correlated and is predictive of your ability to positively impact student achievement. And that's why a number of states, including Tennessee, are adopting the EdTPA for their teacher candidates. It contributes evidence for licensure decisions. It is not all of the evidence, but it certainly contributes evidence for licensure decisions. So what I would suggest to you as you approach the fall semester, and as we're going to be having sessions where we talk about the EdTPA on the specifics, today is just an overview. I want you to strike a balance between taking this very, very seriously, because it is serious, because it contributes evidence for licensure decisions, but at the same time, I don't want you to be overwhelmed by it, because it's not rocket science. It's something that's very doable. You just have to take it a step at a time, and we'll talk later. I think Ms. Lucier is going to share with you some web links, one of which is regarding the EdTPA. Okay, let's look at just a minute about how the EdTPA provides this evidence of teaching performance. What does the evidence look like? It can't be just any old evidence. It needs to follow a certain pattern or a certain structure. Okay, in the EdTPA, the teacher candidate develops a portfolio that documents an actual learning segment, not a pretend one. This is the real world task, remember folks, an authentic assessment. An actual learning segment of 3 to 5 lessons built around a single central focus. Not just 3 to 5 lessons that just are haphazardly strung together and take up 3 to 5 class periods, but they're carefully built around a single central focus. And you develop that portfolio. Now, this is the portfolio then documents the learning segment by providing 2 kinds of evidence. The first kind of evidence falls under the category of assessment artifacts. Now, your artifacts are part of your evidence, and then we're going to notice in a minute commentaries that are another part of evidence, but all this comes under the heading of evidence. Assessment artifacts, what are they? They include lesson plans for those 3 to 5 lessons, copies of instructional and assessment materials, video clips of instruction, that's real, actual instruction, and student work samples, okay? And you'll be, before you start your TPA, you will have a handbook that will give all this in very clear detail about what's required among all these different things. But one part of evidence are your artifacts. The other part are your commentaries. Commentaries integrate knowledge of your students, which is very, very important. I'm sure that's been stressed to you in your program thus far. But the EdTPA is very big on planning around your very careful and intimate knowledge of your students. All sorts of planning. And planning is a major component. We'll talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. Your rationale for professional decisions. What I mean by that is your rationale is why you plan to do what you're planning to do. Then in instruction, why you instructed the way you did. And later on in assessment, why you came to conclusions based on your assessment results the way that you did. See, the EdTPA goes beyond answering the questions of what, of just a checklist to say, did you do this, and did you do this, and did you do this, and did you do this, what, and what. It goes much more deeply into the how and the why. That's what I mean by rationale for professional decisions. interpretations of video evidence. You're going to have video clips of you doing actual teaching in the classroom. And then in your commentary, you're going to interpret what you see on the video so that the person who scores your Ed TPA can see whether or not what you write in your commentary aligns with what they see in the video. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. And then your assessment analysis. You're going to do a detailed analysis of at least one assessment from this particular learning segment. Now, one thing I would stress to you is every semester I see comments from teacher candidates that get stressed out, and they say something like, I'm having a hard time because in addition to all of my student teaching, I'm also having to do this Ed TPA, as if it was something that's added on in addition to student teaching. The Ed TPA is not something added on. It is an essential, integral part of your student teaching. It will be this fall. As a matter of fact, during the placement, when you're doing your Ed TPA, that will take the place of the teacher work sample portfolio. This portfolio will be an integral part of that student teaching during that placement. Allison, would you like to mention a couple of things about this portfolio and the artifacts and commentaries?
Yeah, sure. As I said earlier, anything that you're going to upload to TK20, if you've uploaded assignments in the past, which by this point you should have, you can do this. The entire Ed TPA portfolio is done in TK20. So we're going to upload everything into TK20. You're going to freak out. You're going to get scared. You're not going to be able to find it. You're going to swear that you can't do it. I promise that you can. You're going to do your videos. I'm going to help you edit them. I'm going to give you a how-to sheet so you can try it on your own, or you can come and see me. I do numerous help sessions with the videos. You will not leave until we have put the video on TK20, so you don't have to stress about it. The other big thing is that, like he said, this is replacing your teacher work sample. So you're not going to have to do one whole thing and the TPA. You're going to do the TPA, and that's going to cover 90% of what the old work sample had. Okay? So don't stress out about it. You're going to have plenty of help. I am always available. Dr. Roper is always available. If we're not, we will leave detailed instructions so that when we do get hit by that bus, somebody else can pick up where we left off and answer all of your questions for you. Don't stress about it. I promise it'll be okay.
I want to emphasize again just what Allison said, that as we go through this process, it does not need to be overwhelming to you. We will have sessions in which we will go into great detail about what the TPA is looking for here and here and here. And you have plenty of opportunity to ask questions, very specific questions, and we really try to make ourselves available to help you in any particular ways with regard to that. Let's look briefly about the performance areas, the 5 component areas in which the Ed TPA evaluates your teaching skills. They're actually, not to be confusing, there are actually 3 things the TPA calls tasks, and then there are 2 other components that are across the tasks. I'm not going to try to make a distinction about that at this point. That's way too early to do that. The first is called planning, instruction, and assessment. It is a major part of the Ed TPA. Ms. Lucia referred earlier to the team. The team model is what you're going to be evaluated on when you get out there as a licensed teacher, okay? And it has many of the same domains that the Ed TPA has. Some are more heavily weighted on the team, some are more heavily weighted on the Ed TPA. One that's very heavily weighted on the Ed TPA is planning. Planning instruction and planning assessment. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this planning of your instruction, that's based on your knowledge of your students and it's planning that makes sure that the lessons that you planned are aligned with the appropriate standards and objectives. And then you're also going to be planning assessments, both formative and summative. Second component area is instructing and engaging students. First you do the planning, then you do the implementing. Here's the implementing, where you actually go out there and do the instructing. You do video clips, as we've already mentioned, that show you instructing and engaging students. That's a key, not just instructing, but instructing and engaging students. And the TPA, folks, remember, is scored. And one of the things you're going to be scored on is whether the students are engaged with your instruction. And there are specific criteria that a scorer looks for in that video. And then in your commentary, you're going to, as we said before, you're going to explain or interpret what's being seen on the video about the engagement, about the feedback that you give, about the questions, prompts, and cues, about the give and take that you have in ordinary teaching. The third area is assessing student learning. You will pick one primary assessment that you will then analyze. You will have to provide the evaluation criteria for that assessment. We'll be talking about what that means. It means more than just saying they get credit for it if they got it right, they don't get credit for it if they didn't get it right. That's not what they're looking for when they talk about evaluation criteria. You're going to give the assessment, then you're going to do an in-depth analysis of that assessment, both whole class and through individuals, and then you're going to be using that for some informing of subsequent teaching. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. A major component of the EdTPA is academic language. It is not considered a task, but it is a part across all tasks within the EdTPA. It's academic language. Now, I could stand up here for a long, long time and talk to you about academic language, and you'll be happy to know I will not do that. But academic language is something that we're going to be talking about a lot as you get ready to actually develop the portfolio of your EdTPA. Suffice it to say right now, academic language, as is defined under the EdTPA, goes way, way beyond academic vocabulary. And in Tennessee, under the state standards, there is a lot of emphasis on academic vocabulary, and that's great. Wouldn't diminish that importance for a minute. But you need to know for the EdTPA, it goes beyond academic vocabulary to academic language functions and academic language forms, and we'll leave it at that at this point. Analyzing teaching is the last component, and it's primarily you reflecting on what's happened during the learning segment as far as the teaching and learning is concerned. Your performance on the EdTPA is measured by scoring rubrics, as I've already mentioned. There are at least 15 of them. It's an analytic rubric as opposed to a holistic rubric where everything is done with just one big score with multiple criteria within that. As a matter of fact, some subject areas even have more than 15 scoring rubrics, but there are at least 15. Each rubric contains one or more task-specific criteria that are used to score evidence, either from your artifacts or your commentaries. Remember, that's your evidence, your artifacts and your commentaries. And you're going to have specific criteria within those rubrics that are used to score that. And each rubric then is scored 1 to 5 based on performance level descriptors. There are specific descriptors within each rubric. Here's what a 1 looks like. Here's what a 2 looks like. Here's what 3, 4, and 5 looks like. And the thing you need to understand is, and this is also important with the team observation instrument, is that it's scored 1 through 5, but nobody is expected to take the EdTPA and score all 5s. As a matter of fact, I've scored TPAs for several years now and supervised those who score TPAs, and I've never, ever heard of a person yet. Well, I've never seen a person yet, a portfolio that was all fives. If you can get consistently threes on an Ed TPA is considered a good scoring level for a beginning novice teacher, because you're not expected to score like someone who's been in the classroom for 10 years. Okay, but they are all scored 1 to 5. And the important thing to remember is that when you have commentaries that ask you to do certain things and write certain responses, then you might think, well, here's what I plan on writing. Then the good thing about it is you can go in your handbook to the rubric and say, if I write this, would that look like a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? And you can look right there on the performance level descriptor, and it'll show you what that's likely to turn out as. Let me very quickly give you 3 examples of evidence that measure readiness for teaching, just to show you the way the TPA looks at the evidence that you present. Planning commentary. One of the major task areas is planning, as we already talked about. You have a planning commentary that give you prompts. When you do a commentary on the Ed TPA, you don't just write your thoughts at random and just say, well, here's what I feel like today. You have specific prompts that are very directive to say how you're to respond to certain things. Here's an example of one. Under planning commentary, given the central focus of your learning segment, explain how your plans build on each other to help students make connections between facts and reasoning skills to deepen their learning. Explain how. Remember earlier I talked about this goes beyond the what and it gets to the how and the why. In this commentary, you're going to explain how your plans build on each other. And folks, that doesn't mean just saying in your commentary, each lesson builds on the one before. That's not explaining how. That's just a declarative statement. And sometimes people will say, we start out every day by reviewing the previous day's lesson. Well, that's fine to do that. That's great. It activates prior knowledge. But this is asking you to explain how each lesson builds on the one previously. And the TPA is looking for 2 dimensions of learning. It's looking for previous learning of recall of facts, recognizing and naming, and then it's going to be looking at conceptual understanding and reasoning. You see, like here, reasoning skills and higher order thinking skills. And you need to be able to show how you are making a connection between the factual recall and the conceptual understanding or the higher order thinking. Instruction commentary. Here's an example from an instruction commentary prompt. Referring to examples from your video clips, explain how your instruction engaged students in developing conceptual understandings, and 2, describe how your instruction linked students' prior learning with new learning. Now, you have your video clips, that's part of your artifacts evidence, then your commentary is going to interpret that. Now, when you interpret that and you talk about the connection that was made, and you talk about how you engage students to develop conceptual understandings, and then the scorer looks at your video and doesn't see that, and doesn't see any alignment between your interpretation and the video clip, that's not what we're looking for. You need to see the alignment to be able to, again, it goes explain how and describe how. That's very key there. And then under an assessment commentary prompt, it says based on, these are again just examples, based on your analysis of student learning evidenced by your chosen assessment, describe next steps for instruction. Explain how these next steps follow from your analysis, supported by principles from research and theory. Okay, you've all talked, I'm sure, about data-driven decisions, data-driven instruction. That's very important. That's where this comes into play. You've given an assessment, you've graded it, you've analyzed it, you've talked about it, and then that data drives subsequent decision. Or it comes under the heading, the way the EdTPA describes it, as using assessment to inform instruction. So when it asks you to describe next steps for instruction, what they do not mean is for you to say, next week we'll go on to the next chapter. Or after this, we'll go on to the next unit. What they mean is using the data from your assessment to drive subsequent instruction related to that teaching based on what the assessment showed, using the data to inform subsequent instruction or to be able to make data-driven decisions. So will you, in fact, be ready to teach at the end of the student teaching? Your EdTPA is going to provide evidence of your proficiency in teaching skills. It's a critical element in the process of determining your readiness for teaching. It's not the only element, but it is a critical one. And we're going to be here to help you every step of the way.
Thanks, David. And again, let me emphasize that David and Allison and also Dr. Hitchcock are experts in EdTPA, and they are there to help you. I want to very quickly share some resources that you can use tomorrow or tonight when you go home. How many of you are working on lesson plans, and how many of you are doing all of those kinds of things? So, okay, tonight's your night. Okay. There we go. All right. You've probably heard of Common Core state standards. They were adopted by 46 states, and Tennessee happens to be one of the members of the governing board of PARC, which has implemented the Common Core state standards. They're K-12 in 2 areas, English and math. If you don't know the 3 instructional shifts for English and you don't know the 3 instructional shifts for math, you need to learn them because you're going to be evaluated on them when you become a teacher. So now's your time to learn those. I listed, I think, 4 websites that are critical to knowing Common Core. The first one is the State Department of Tennessee's website. It has an enormous amount of resources listed. In fact, those other 3 that I listed are also on the state website. The next one, the Common Core Standards, that's the original. That is the official website of Common Core State Standards. The next one, EduCore, that is got lots of samples of work that you could actually look at and use today. We're going to email this to you. Quentin, can you email that this morning? What you can do is just click on the links. We didn't want to give it to you in paper form because you just have to, it's too cumbersome. So you'll get it tomorrow. And the next one, Achieve the Core. Achieve is a nonprofit organization that has been highly involved in the development and implementation of Common Core standards. 4 critical websites here if you're working in Common Core. The next one, the next 2, team evaluation. You've heard of team evaluation. It is the state of Tennessee's evaluation for teacher performance. I've given you the state website for team. It is a wealth of information. Please go there, look at it. The rubrics are there. It's everything that you want to know about team evaluation. And the other one, I picked a clip that is pertinent to you, which is the teacher model. I don't think you're going to be concerned about the administrator model right now, but the teacher model is important for you to know how that's going to affect you when you actually get into the classroom. EdTPA, that's the website that David was referring to, and you can go there and find out lots of information. There is an online handbook that we will make sure that you have access to once we get started into the process. TVAS, who's heard of TVAS? Yeah, value added. It's here to stay. It's used to measure teacher effectiveness in the state of Tennessee, and so you need to understand what it's all about. It was created, 1992, I think, was my first experience with TVAS. Dr. Bill Sanders out of University of Tennessee in Knoxville is the one that actually created the whole formula for creating this effectiveness model. It is now a SaaS product, but you need to know what TVAS is all about. And so there's the website. Teacher licensure. Again, that's if you are interested in finding out all the things about and all the different kinds of license, that's the website to go to. And once you get your confirmation you have a license, that's where you're going to go to print your license, because you won't get one from the state. Highly qualified status. I put this up here because a lot of student teachers ask about this. It's really not relevant to you until you become a teacher. You have to be a certified teacher with a job in a classroom in order to gain highly qualified status. But there's a whole document, and in fact, the name on the document that signed it is your own Dean of Education, who's our former Commissioner of Education, Dr. Lana Sievers. And so you'll find that that's her document there. Read Tennessee. How many of you are early childhood, pre-K to third grade? Nobody in here, because they're doing residency too. This is still good for you if you're an elementary person. This is called Read Tennessee. There's 3 portals on this website. It deals with reading and it deals with math. And it's for teachers, parents, and community members. If you're working on teacher engagement in any of your classes, go here and you're going to find all kinds of information on student engagement and parent engagement. Battelle for Kids Tennessee. As we look at the data from our student teachers here at MTSU, we've identified one critical area of need. It is the thing that our student teachers scored the lowest on across the board, and that is analyzing your data and using that data for instructional decisions. Can you tell why we're using EdTPA? Because it links to that. Battelle for Kids, because of our race to the top that we won in March of 2009, because of that, Battelle for Kids has created this website, which is free to all certified teachers in the state of Tennessee if they're working in a school system, and it is free to all teacher prep programs. If you look at that last line, you can go onto this website. You can create your own account. You need 2 things. You need an MTSU email address, and you need this code, the 10000029. That's MTSU's code. You can find all kinds of information on formative assessment, on giving effective feedback, value added, analyzing data. All of these things can help you in your classes right now. So this is some really valuable resources that I think you need to take advantage of. And I know a lot of you are in classes right now where you're having to write papers and you're having to do some research, and hopefully this will help you do that. And like I said, Quentin will email this to you tomorrow morning, so all you have to do is click on the links. All right. Do we have any questions right now about anything? Wonderful. All right. Is Dr. Huffman, do I see, there's Dr. Huffman in the back, and Dr. Burris, tiny little Dr. Burris back there. All right. We're going to split up into 2 groups right now. We're going to put we'll put Dr. Burris's students on this side of the room, and Dr. Huffman, if you don't mind going to the far side of the room over there. They're going to meet with you. And Bonnie, where are you? Bonnie, you want to do art up here in the front? Oh, that's right. Well, you can go with them. That's fine. Anybody else? Any other groups? They will be able to answer any questions very specific to your program area. So they're going to take a few minutes, and you can meet with them and ask questions. Thank you all for coming. I know it's been a long evening. Hopefully you've learned some information. Thank you.